Morning. I'd like to ask our treasurer, Larry Ma, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the April 11th, 2019 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Bob Archer. I currently serve as chair of the commission and represent District 3 alongside Commissioner Bill Rippon, who represents District 1, and Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome. First item of business, please.
The first item is item 2, unfinished business. Number 1, consider approval of request for a project budget in the amount of approximately $66,281, utilizing $36,281 of capital maintenance funds and $30,000 of operating funds, and to solicit bids for 3 open-air shelters for Shunga Glen Park, Skyline Park, and Collins Park. Deferred from the 4/4/19 meeting, Parks and Recreation.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. Let me just, hopefully I can clear up some of the confusion from last week. What we're asking for is the approval of the Shunga Glen project budget. Part of that project budget is to purchase an open-air shelter. That's $30,000 to pay for, that's an estimate. To pay for that shelter would come out of our operating fund. The remainder of that project would come out of our capital maintenance funds. If you approve this project, then we would go out for bid on the 3 shelters, 2 of which you already approved, Skyline Park and Collins Park. Collins Park will be paid for, I know there were some questions about this, Collins Park would be paid for out of our operating budget. It's a new shelter, doesn't meet the standard for the capital maintenance or excess reserve funds. The shelter at Skyline Park is part of a project that we're working on with the Zura Credit Union, and that shelter would be paid for out of our foundation. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions for Tim?
I have no questions. I move that we approve.
I'll second. I think due for the clarification, that's what we were wanting to see.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Great.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thanks again, Tim. Next item, please.
Item 3, consent agenda.
4 items on the consent agenda. Any questions or comments?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Under Building and Maintenance, Central Mechanical Construction, Inc., $14,310 is for Crestview Shelter House HVAC renovation. Under Bridge Project, Brian Olmeyer Construction, Inc., $80,404.65 is for the Southwest 37th Street over tributary for Shunga Creek. Under General Expenses, NG Service, U.S. Inc., $18,842.85 is for the Courthouse Energy Service, and we're in year 11 of that. Total vouchers as of April 10th, 2019, $1,231,161.18. And I would move that we approve the vouchers.
Second.
Motion made to approve the vouchers by Commissioner Rippon and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move to approve the correction orders.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve the correction orders by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item B, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider approval of request to award bids for the manufacturing of pumps and screens set to be utilized in the Lake Shawnee Adventure Cove, and authorization and execution of contract C-144-2019 with Environmental and Process Systems, Inc. for the 2 pumps at a cost of $49,700, and contract C-145-2019 with Hendrick Screen Company for the manufacturing of intake screens at a cost of $30,524, with funding from the excess reserve funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sean Osborne, Parks and Recreation. The item before you is to approve the contracts for the pumps and the screens for the cove, and that is for the water refresh quality, bringing in the water through the cove area and back out to help that situation within the cove. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have on each of those.
Could you give us a status report, if you will? We closed down the beach year and a half ago. And what have we been doing so far? How much have we spent? What's the status of Adventure Cove, Sean?
If you remember, we basically closed the beach. We went through a process, went out and solicit. We had surveys that went out to see what people wanted. We knew one of the things was to bring the marina from the west side to the east side, which was basically replacing our fleet of marina equipment. We've done that portion of it. Now we're in the second phase, which is basically the water refresh, and we're also in the phase of the storm water and ADA access sidewalk, and that's where we're at right now. The two things that are with you guys today, those are 2 items that are basically on-site purchase that we are doing, and we're providing to whoever wins the bid to install the pump and the screens for the cove for the water refresh. And we have consolidated those 2 construction projects into one, which is the ADA and stormwater and the intake and screens for the water refresh, to get an overall better bid, because we did not like the bid that we got, and that's why we came to you guys and rejected it and went back out.
Okay. How much have we spent so far?
If you look at total project, we were probably around, I think it was a little over 40 with the marina, the paddle boats and that. I don't know the exact number with PEC of what, but I know that we had some designs, some drawings and different things. But overall project budget with combining those 2 would be around $461,780.95. If you take that and deduct off the pumps and the screens, then we have around $381,556.95 left in that budget. But that's give or take some of what we have already paid to PEC for design and stuff that we have with that.
But the total cost is going to be over 400,000, close to 400,000?
No, we've got right now, it probably will be that. I can get that number to you.
That'd be helpful.
Okay. But the combined project money, when we put the 75,000, which was 65, but 9,000, I believe it was 9,750 came from operating budget for the storm water and ADA walk, made it 75,000 total for that project. The other project was 386,250, and that's where we came up with the $461,780.95 for the whole project together.
Okay.
For that.
Yeah, I'd like to know where we stand.
Okay.
When are we going to reopen for customers to come?
What we're hoping is we got bids back for the construction project. We're going to look at those, obviously take and look at the low bid that comes in. We'll bring that back down to you. We'll know then probably an estimated construction time. We're hoping to do the stormwater and the ADA thing first and slowly back ourselves out of the cove so that that doesn't interrupt with the rental process of the paddle boats. The other portion of the refresh may take a little bit longer because the construction company has still got to get their stuff in, and approving today allows these 2 companies to start building the intake screens and the pumps.
Well, do you have an estimated completion date?
I'm hopeful that they could be hopefully done with the ADA and stormwater maybe around, hopefully before Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
But if not, Obviously, we will get something out. We will get with Mike McLaughlin. We will send something to you guys and send something out to the public if construction it delays the
I
process.
think it'd be helpful to get, again, numbers on what we're doing and a more solid date that we can tell the public on when we're going to reopen.
Okay. We will put pen to paper and get something to you.
Perfect, thank you. Commissioner Cook?
A couple of points. On the bid process, it is the most responsive and lowest bidder. That's the policy of Shawnee County, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so just to make sure that we reiterate that Shawnee County is a most responsive and lowest bidder when we do projects, not just the lowest bid.
Yes.
And so just making sure we reiterate that. Also, this funding is coming from the excess reserves, correct?
Yes.
And it's replacing something that was already there, not creating something new, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And this is different than when we'd have the discussions about zip line or inflatable or other projects.
That would be something that would be new coming into the complex, yes.
Okay. And I think that when Commissioner Archer was talking about the overall cost, the parts that you have talked about are the parts of changing the intake, changing the pump, changing the walkway, changing the beach, but those budgets do not include the adding of zip line, the adding of the other features that we've talked about, and we don't have a project budget established for that, and that was something that was going to cost quite a bit more, millions more.
Yes.
Okay.
You are correct.
And so when we've had presentations in the past that flashed zip lines and inflatables and those things, and the media reports about it, and the public gets excited about it, we're not talking about that yet.
No. This is, basically, we put it into phase. Phase one was to try, like I said earlier, was to get the rental portion and the cove and taking out a portion of the permeable dam to allow the paddle boats to go in and out. That was phase one. We're into phase two, which is ADA, to make it accessible ADA and to improve the quality of the cove with the stormwater runoff, and then to improve the quality of the water within the cove. And that is basically around in phase two.
So the advertising of the zip lines and the inflatables and all of that was to build public excitement and to build public interest and possible other sponsorships.
Yes.
And also to see if the commission's willing to fund that.
We're looking at it from that, yes, from that avenue of commission, but we're also looking at it from a standpoint of a company coming in that might be private, that this area may be perfect for them to set up shop and work with us on doing something of that nature in the cove.
And that comes back to the reality. I think, Commissioner Rippon, you've come now to see this, that one of the drawbacks to having a three-member commission is that we cannot communicate to each other outside of this meeting. And so being able to have a department give direction as to what the intent of the commission is, what you're willing to fund, where you're headed as a department, really has to happen here. And so when the department puts up a project, it may sail or it may get shot down.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, the commission has said, we're interested in seeing improvements to the Adventure Cove, and we want to see what the cost of that's going to be, but also to let the public know, we haven't identified the funding of that yet. This is something that we're looking at down the road, but don't come out next week expecting to see zip lines.
Yes, please do not come out. That's that, yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you. But again, this is coming from excess reserves, and we are looking at most responsive and lowest bidder.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Commissioner Rippon.
I do have a question. The intake screens, are they taken into account, or is there some kind of method as part of the way this thing's configured to deal with the zebra mussels that might be collecting in these things? And is there an easy way to clean these out so we're not having to come back?
From my understanding and talking with PEC, that's why the screens were looked at, was because of that reason. But they're also not going to be as low as what everybody thinks, so they actually can be taken and sprayed off and cleaned. But I don't think there's anything out there, at least that I know of, that deters the zebra mussels from being part of a
I
screen.
guess they're very small to begin with. And
Yeah, the only deterrent is just what Wildlife and Parks has out there is please, when you leave the one lake, go wash your boat so you don't take it to the other lake. And that's really the only thing I think that's out there.
All right.
Commissioner Archer?
Yes, Commissioner Cook.
I know that Jim Martin has worked with you closely on this project as our ad hoc engineer and
Unpaid.
unpaid.
Well, same as ad hoc. I guess.
A great resource. Jim, it's been a very great resource to Shawnee County and Parks and Rec, and I would be remiss if I didn't recognize his contributions.
Good morning, Commissioners. One point I would add to Sean's presentation is the screens are very expensive. Part of the reason they do have embedded copper in them, they will not totally prevent zebra mussel clogging, but they go a long ways to prevent the rapid accumulation. These are regular water intake screens used at municipal water plants, and part of the reason that they're configured the way they are is to try to prevent that mussel buildup. They're also used to screen out any of the fish, turtles, that type of thing. But they are special screens, and that's why they cost what they did. So.
Does that help?
That helps.
All right. I would move for approval.
I'll second that.
Motion made to approve the request by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sean. Next item, please.
Item C, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to accept the bid of $17,450 with Laundry Solutions Company for the purchase of a 100-pound washer for inmate laundry with funding from the Capital Outlay Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This request comes after the approval for the Board of County Commissioners to allow us to look at the purchase of a 100-pound washer that does do all of our laundry and stuff for the inmate population, blankets, linens, things like that. That after 22 years of service with one, it's on at the end of its life, and we're having multiple maintenance, shutting it down, things like that. This was one of the priorities we had in working with Betty Greiner and the Commissioner regarding the replacement of this. The bids at the time were about $16,100 back in November when we looked at this. We did look at the most responsive and the lowest bid, and it came in at $17,450. We did immediately, when we got the bids back, the lowest responsive, we met with Betty. I had Major Kendall meet with Betty regarding this, and she felt that it would be good that we were able to, there were sufficient funds to be able to pay the excess out of capital outlay. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Cole.
I move that we approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve the request by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you
Next
very
item,
much.
please.
Item D, Information Technology. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-146-2019 with Optiv for purchase of a replacement checkpoint firewall appliance and setup installation services using State of Kansas contract pricing at a cost not to exceed $12,000 with funding from capital outlay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pat O'Blander with the Information Technology Department. As mentioned, this is a request to replace a firewall that has reached the end of its service life that protects the Department of Corrections from the rest of the network. We do compartmentalize the networks within Shawnee County for criminal justice and public safety areas, so that problems in one area of the network can't transfer over to other areas. And this is an important element in maintaining that layer of security. This firewall has been in place for quite some time and is now ready for replacement. We did bring this to the Commission for a consideration in December of last year as a capital outlay item for 2019. It was approved, and we're just here to ask for permission to go forward with the procurement for the services and for the hardware. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
I'll move to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Pat. Next item, please.
E, Public Works. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-147-2019 with Free State Electric Co-op, Inc. for relocation of a pole for a culvert replacement project on Southwest Morrill Road over a tributary to Colby Creek at a cost of $2,266.64 with funding from the Special Bridge Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works and Solid Waste. This is just a typical utility relocate on our Morrill Road project. It's about the relocation of a power pole and nothing extraordinary about it. This project here is located just north of Gary Ormsby Drive. Obviously, our Gary Ormsby project, we'll want to have that done before we even start this. So we're hoping maybe we can let this project later this year, but before we do that, we've got to get all utility relocations done. And so with that, I'll take questions.
Questions for the Public Works Director?
Commissioner?
Yes, Commissioner Cook.
As we talk about the Gary Ormsby project, I know that you were reassessing it. Does this affect the timeline at all for that project?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And then your department is looking at the condition of that road and the safety for the people that travel it, looking at any ruts or potholes, or making sure that as we get to the project that the people are able to still safely travel on that road?
Absolutely. Our maintenance people are daily monitoring that north lane, the portion that's Shawnee County's responsibility. I cannot speak for the eastbound lane, the south lane, because that's the City of Topeka's responsibility.
Okay. All right. I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E2, consider approval of request to issue a request for qualifications for professional design services necessary for the project of Northwest 39th Street, west of Northwest Green Hills Road, with funding from the Public Works Special Bridge account.
Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works and Solid Waste. As part of Public Works' ongoing endeavors to improve the road and bridge infrastructure in Shawnee County, we would like to replace 5 drainage structures. And all of these drainage structures will be replaced using the Special Bridge Fund. I'll go through, obviously we have to go through each structure individually. This is the first structure. This is the one that's approximately 200 foot west of Green Hills Road on Northwest 39th. It's a stone arch bridge. This picture was taken approximately 15 to 20 years ago when we did our inventory of these small non-bridge sized structures. And since then, you can kind of see it in the lower left-hand side of the structure that the brickwork is starting to come out, and it's to the point where the structure needs to be addressed, needs to be replaced. And so the first step in doing that is bringing a consultant on board to design the replacement structure, which we anticipate will be a cast-in-place concrete box structure. So be willing to take your questions on this structure. We have a lot of structures like this in the county, and slowly but surely we're making our way through them.
Questions? Commissioner Cook.
We often get asked about preservation of bridges and roadways and historical. Does this fall in any of those qualifications?
No, we don't believe so.
Okay. And then we've also, in the past, designed a lot of the culverts in-house and built them in-house. Does that fall under one of those qualifications?
And we still do that, and especially on projects that our maintenance people are going to be involved with. We feel this structure, the replacement structure, the design, the hydraulics will be a little more complex, so we would like to send it out to for consultant design.
Very good. Don't have any additional questions?
No.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second it.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E3, consider approval of request to issue a request for qualifications for professional design services for replacement of Northwest Green Hills Road culvert over a tributary to Halfday Creek with funding from the Public Works Special Bridge account.
Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works and Solid Waste. This is the second structure that we would like to design a replacement for. It too is a stone arch bridge, but unlike the last one, this one has been widened with it looks like a metal plate culvert. Again, this picture was taken 15 to 20 years ago, and if you can imagine how things can change in that time, I can assure you the present structure isn't in nearly as good a shape. In fact, the last information I had asked maintenance to put a cone kind of at the edge of the road on this structure because we actually had a hole in the deck. It's off the travel way, but nevertheless, it was something that we wanted to put there in case a bicyclist used the structure. But the same things that were said before really apply here. Instead of being on 39th Street, it's on Green Hills Road, 70 feet north of 39th Street. So we're hoping possibly to let these two projects together once the design is complete, because the structures are so close together and they deal with the same body of water, the same creek. So, any questions on this structure?
You see this as being a box structure too?
Yes, yes. Some of these structures will be sub-bridge size structures, but conceivably based on the hydraulics, we may turn these into a bridge size structure, which will need then inspection every 2 years.
I move that we approve.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Rippon to approve, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E4, consider approval of request to issue a request for qualifications for professional design services for replacement of 4 culverts between the 6,700 and 7,000 blocks of Southeast Barrington Road with funding from the Public Works Special Bridge Account.
Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works and Solid Waste. One small correction, there's only 3 structures. They're all on Barrington Road between 20 feet north of Southeast 69th to 415 feet north of Southeast 69th. They're all being kind of treated together because they're so close together. The structures are all very similar. These structures differ from the first 2 in that the first 2 were, again, stone arches. These structures are, they have stone vertical abutments, and they have a cast-in-place concrete deck. And again, these pictures were taken 15 to 20 years ago. They will all be replaced with an unknown size reinforced concrete box. The problems are the same. We're losing stone in the abutments, and with loss of support, we conceivably move toward a loss of the bridge structure. So it's time to get these structures replaced, and that's why we would like to hire a consultant.
I'll move to approve. Thank you for the illustrations and showing our commitment to infrastructure spending in Shawnee County. I appreciate that.
Very good.
Yes, Commissioner Cook.
I'll second, but a question. On the outside of it, you see the guardrails that are there. During the township meeting, Norm Bowers with the Kansas Association of Counties and Roadways talked about differing changes or thoughts in the guardrails. What are the thoughts?
What we're doing now on all of our box-size structures, and we've done this on Southwest 37th Street, is we push the hub guard out beyond the clear zone so no guard fence or bridge rail is required. Because if you have any kind of device out there, guess what? It gets hit. It's a maintenance problem. So we prefer to move that outside the clear zone and then minimize our maintenance responsibilities.
And I think that during the presentation, he was talking about guardrails that people had put up thinking that they would be safety devices and actually wound up becoming more dangerous to the individuals.
Tremendous amount of research goes on in this country about guardrail, especially the end treatment, where it's placed relative to the roadway. It involves a tremendous amount of design. You don't take those things lightly. If you put a guardrail in that's too rigid, then you can have it be something like hitting a power pole, if you can envision a car hitting a power pole. Or the end can spear the vehicle, and you can have that the end of the guardrail entering the passenger compartment of the car. So it's very important whenever you put up any kind of guardrail that it follows the latest design standards.
And Shawnee County does follow the latest design standards.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Kurt, you said these are all poured in place?
The slab, the abutments are stone abutments.
Okay.
What we think happened was the stone abutments, that was an old timber deck that was placed on a stone abutment, and in some point in the past, the timber deck was replaced with a precast, or not precast, but a cast-in-place concrete slab.
Interesting.
Good answers. Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E5, consider approval of request to authorize an emergency expenditure of up to $20,785.56 for repairs to a solid waste front-loading refuse truck.
Kurt Nance, Director of Public Works and Solid Waste. Kind of to start this item off, I just want to say the word rats. We have a vehicle that has been significantly damaged by rodents. All these modern vehicles work highly electronic control systems, and for some reason the rats liked evidently the plastic coating on this wiring, and we had a vehicle recently that was particularly the rats were particularly, or the rodents were particularly fond of this vehicle and did a tremendous amount of damage. I am cautiously optimistic that the actual repair cost will be less than the amount quoted in my write-up. I have received emergency purchase blessing from Audit Finance, and I can assure you that once the repairs start, we will monitor somewhat closely so that only the absolute necessary repairs are made, so hopefully we can get some significant savings on this dollar amount. We've contacted our pest control provider, and we are working on some strategies to prevent this from happening again. I don't think we can guarantee it from happening again, but hopefully we can mitigate it somewhat. Questions?
Well, we are being proactive.
Well, I'd say so, yes. We're.
Okay. Okay. Questions for, yes, Commissioner Cook?
Just notifying that this is coming from the enterprise fund and not taxpayer services.
Absolutely. I mean to say that every time, but forget sometimes.
Right.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Move for approval.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kurt. Next item, please.
Item F, Health Department. Number 1, consider approval of request to reclassify 2 master's level social workers in the Family Health Division to range 705 at a salary including benefits of $66,841 with funding from the Maternal and Child Health Block Grant and included in the 2019 budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. This master level social worker position was approved on September 10th. We've been trying to fill it since that time with no luck. And we have advertised in multiple locations. So we've done a lot of brainstorming. At the same time we were doing that, our Human Resources Department with Angela Lewis was also brainstorming. And we met and talked about reclassifying this position to see if an increase in salary would help us attract a good candidate. We also talked about maybe changing this to a bachelor's level social worker. And I tell you, I am a social worker, and I have concerns about the level of professionalism, and there's a lot of great bachelor's level social workers. I have no problem with that. But this position is out in the field with families, unsupervised a lot. And so I'm more comfortable with someone with that master's level education doing that. And then the other thing about this position, it is grant funded, and we can cover this in the budget. These social workers see people that don't qualify for other home visitation programs. For instance, the Nurse Family Partnership Program, you have to be expecting your first child or you don't qualify. So there's a lot of those kind of qualifications with those evidence-based programs that are in town. So we have a couple positions that can see people that might fall through the cracks otherwise and really do need the help. So I think it's an important position, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about the reclassification or the position.
Questions for Linda, Commissioner?
Linda, I appreciate that you've identified that these are not coming from the general fund. They are coming from grant funds, that these are individuals that you want to have a master's level social work, that they are unsupervised in the field and in individuals' homes, working with individuals. But I think we skipped one question, which is, what do they do?
Okay, what do they do? So these social workers provide support and education to new parents. It's a lot of case management, and actually this is pretty much what I did, my first job of public health. So I would go see expectant parents and parents with small children and help them find the services they need. In my caseload, I had several parents that had mental illness diagnoses, developmental delays. They needed lots of support. And so it's a safety net, it's a help to get them the services they need to be successful as parents in the community.
Well, Commissioner Rippon and I attended the community conversation on Monday, and we had heard from Dr. Pizzino talk about the community health, and then going into the community health assessment. How does this factor into that?
So this factors into that several areas. You might remember that mental health has come up as the #1 issue in our community health needs assessment. You're going to be hearing a lot more about mental health. So this can be a supportive position for people with mental health needs who are parenting, and there's lots of folks out there that need that support. We're always going to be talking about infant mortality, low birth weight. Again, this can help with those problems, with those issues. It can't always fix it, but helping. For instance, I would see clients that maybe they were in patients that were having some problems that needed to be seen by the doctor. And so I do feel like I saved a couple people from having a premature birth by getting them to the doctor. So it's just those kind of connections that are made. So those issues I see, access to healthy food, fresh fruits and vegetables, getting them into WIC, helping them apply for food stamps, whatever they qualify for. So so you remember the stream, the upstream, the midstream, the downstream. It is a midstream intervention, but it is an important one in the whole process.
Thank you. I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook. Excuse me. Seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Linda. Next item, please.
Item G, Administrative Services. #1, consider approval of request to deposit defeasance revenue of $106,428.91 into the Capital Outlay Fund for future capital outlay needs.
Good morning, Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. As the clerk just read, we received $106,000 from our mortgage bond program in defeasance revenue. As we have done in the past, I am suggesting that we deposit this money into the Capital Outlay Fund for future needs. This is money that is unbudgeted because it's really not something we can predict when these events are going to happen. Since it is unbudgeted money, I feel like this is an opportunity for us to set this money aside for any capital needs that we may have in the future.
Very good. Questions for Betty?
I move that we approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item G2, consider approval of resolution number 2019-20, establishing change drawer funds, a change from $50 to $100 for the county clerk's fish and game, and a change in the names of the health department's funds.
Good morning, Andrea Forbes, Internal Auditor. As she read, we are requesting a couple of changes to the current change drawer resolution. The first change is an increase in the clerk's fish and game change drawer from $50 to $100. The second change is just an update of the titles of the health department's change drawers to better reflect the terms that they use within their department. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I'll move to adopt the resolution.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item G3, consider approval of resolution number 2019-21, establishing petty cash funds of $100 no longer needed in the Parks and Rec admin office, petty cash funds of $50 no longer needed in the treasurer's office, and petty cash funds of $100 no longer needed in the county clerk's office.
Andrea Forbes, Internal Auditor. After a recent review of our current petty cash fund resolution, we want to make some changes to this one as well. A few of the departments no longer utilize their petty cash funds, so we would like to remove them from the Parks and Recreation admin office, the treasurer's office, and the county clerk's office. We also added a section to this resolution that states that The petty cash funds are subject to random audits by the Audit Finance Department. I'll answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Andrea?
No.
I'll move that we approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate it. Next item, please.
Item H, Commission, number 1, consider reappointment of Terry Beck to the Washburn Board of Regents with a 4-year term beginning July 1, 2019.
I'll move for the approval. I think Terry's done an excellent job as our appointee to the Board of Regents, and would reappoint him for a second term, or another term.
I've known Terry for many years. He's excellent at what he does, and he also provided us with an excellent report. So I would second that.
I agree. He's done an outstanding job. Motion made to approve the reappointment by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item H2, consider canceling the May 30th and June 17th commission meetings.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item H3, acknowledge receipt of the resignation and retirement of John Knight as Parks and Recreation Director.
You have in front of you this morning a letter that states that June the 30th will be my last day as Director of Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. Just to let you, the Commission, know, this is not my first draft of this letter. My goal was to write one and have one that I could present without tearing up and outright weeping. We'll see how I do this morning. The past 31 years I've worked for Shawnee County Parks and Rec. It's been a true honor and a pleasure, not only working for the county commissioners, but also for the citizens of Topeka and Shawnee County. Since I started in 1987, the Parks and Recreation world has changed immensely since that time, probably no more so than starting in 2008 with the economic downturn. All local governments, cities, counties, states all had to change their operating models, and so did Shawnee County and Parks and Recreation. Having a great team together to help lead Shawnee County Parks and Recreation through that has been a tremendous benefit to the county citizens, and was a benefit to me as well too. But after that, following after that, there's some major accomplishments that I'm really proud to have been part of the team to see it get accomplished. The City County Parks and Recreation merger is another one of those that was just a tremendous thing that continues annually to save the people of Topeka and Shawnee County $5 million at least a year. I think that was a long time coming and should have been done many, many years ago before. But that wouldn't have been able to be accomplished without a lot of a very good professional staff. Some of the other things that are recently that I'm the most proud of being a part of would be the development of the long-range master plan that is set in place for the Shawnee County Parks and Rec Department to let the community know what we are doing moving forward for about a 10-year process. That happened in about 2014. But probably one of the crowning jewels was this past fall when our department was recognized as a CAPRA accredited. There's less than 2% of the Parks and Rec agencies around the country that are a nationally accredited agency. That's not me. Not for 1 second do I think that was me that did all that. It's a great team that I worked with, several of whom are here today. That being said, June the 30th being my last day as the Director of Parks and Recreation, I do also want to say that Shawnee County Parks and Rec is also on the verge of many great things. There probably never would have been a good time for me to submit this letter. I probably would have been through here until I was well into my 80s and still not had everything done. Know that there was a recent article in the paper about people wanting to make sure that people remain in Topeka and Shawnee County. I'm one of that percentage that's going to stay here in Topeka and Shawnee County for all the good things that's going on. I'll try not to bother you guys much. With that being said, one of the reasons why Parks and Rec is on the verge of it is please don't underestimate how truly remarkable the staff Shawnee County Parks and Rec is. There is a tremendous staff. They're truly dedicated to providing a quality program, quality facilities to the people of Topeka and Shawnee County. So a couple recent hires we've made have done nothing but make that potential even greater. With Tim Laurent as the Deputy Director and Jeremy Myers as the Park Services Director, I think that will only continue. So I think you have a succession line, should you decide to follow that would be very helpful in keeping Parks and Recreation moving forward. It's also been my pleasure to work for over a dozen county commissioners in my time, and I want to thank all of them for the opportunities and the support that I've received in my 31-plus years. With that being said, I'll stand for any questions.
I don't have any questions. I think I'll save my comments for when we get closer to your actual retirement date on June 30th, John. Yes.
I just think that, this is a good opportunity to recognize 31 years as an employee. That speaks great volumes for our Shawnee County. Being able to come from within and promote up, that's something that we often inspire our employees to be able to do, to stay within. 19 years as the director, overseeing consolidation, overseeing acquiring the city properties that were left really in a state of disarray, and doing a reassessment. All the money that has gone into deferred maintenance for those city properties the county has put out, reassessing the county programming, assessing what programs work, what don't, what is the cost benefit, operating a department as a business, development of the master plan, reevaluating the needs, establishing quadrants, and do we have an even distribution of services across the county? All of those things John has been at the forefront of, and finally achieving the accreditation for his department. Nationally recognized accreditation, and then also being recognized by the Kansas Association of Parks and Recreation as a fellow. One of the highest awards that can be received in Parks and Recreation should not go without being recognized and stated. And just really, John has been an asset to this county for many, many decades, and his impact will be felt for many, many decades in the future. If there was a way, John, I could not accept your resignation, I would vote against it. But you've been a true treasure to Shawnee County. Thank you.
I'll move to acknowledge receipt of the resignation and retirement.
I'll second.
Motion made to acknowledge receipt by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for department heads or any member of the public to address the commission. So step right up.
Morning, Commissioners. Caleb Akery, Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. Hey, a couple things for the public. We have opened up 3 youth camps for this summer for middle-aged school kids that don't have anything to do. The application and information regarding those are posted on our website at shawneesheriff.org. So we've opened up 3. It'll be at Seaman High School, Shawnee Heights, and Washburn Rural. These in the past have been a tremendous success for the kids. We just bring in all avenues of our agency and show them different aspects of law enforcement, let them get to know the officers and have fun for a week. So would encourage anybody interested in that to look into that. April 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. we will be partnering with Soldier Township Fire Department and I believe, let me check, Mission Fire on a drug take-back. So anybody that has unused or old prescriptions that they need to get rid of, April 27th will be in those 2 locations, helping them dispose of their medications properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Courtney House, Director of Public Works and Solid Waste. I just wanted to announce this morning that on the county's Southeast 29th Street project, 10 of 22 precast superstructure elements are in place on the Deer Creek Bridge. I do have pictures that I've just received, and I asked the commission if they would like to see them, or is there time for that?
There's always time to tell
Okay.
about success. To tell about success.
And this is a county project, not a city project, right?
This is a county project. I have, I've not seen these pictures myself, so hopefully I can do them justice.
That a net?
Yeah.
But now I gotta find where they're at. Nope. I was promised there were pictures on here.
Yeah.
Nope. Whoever gave me the PowerPoint, did they, yeah, did,
I downloaded it onto the, I don't know why it's not there.
huh.
We'll probably have another meeting next
Yes.
week.
I truly am sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
only going with the information I received,
And
and,
Kurt, that's fine.
okay, but anyway, the news is good. Half the superstructure elements are in place. It is a Shawnee County project, and everything is going well.
Okay,
Great.
very good, thank you. Anyone else have pictures or comments for the commission?
Well, I apologize, no pictures for you today. I wish I had some good ones. I do have two items for you, though, today. The first being, I wanted to make the commissioners and the public aware we are going to be putting out a media release today in regards to the continued rise of measles cases across the United States, just to raise awareness. So a couple of points I wanted to point out today. Through April 4th, so think about this in the terms of just 3 months worth, basically, for 2019. We've had 465 individual confirmed cases of measles across the United States in 19 different states. The closest of that being in Missouri, so a neighboring state. We've also had some in Colorado and Illinois, so it is here in the Midwest. This is actually the second highest number of cases of measles since they were considered eliminated in 2000. So that's already just 3 months so far this year, and we've already hit the second highest number of cases. So this is an issue. There are currently 7 different measles outbreaks happening right now in the United States. Majority of those happening on the coast. We do have one in Michigan, so the upper Midwest. So they are still a ways away from Kansas, but this is kind of the way we prepare is not an instance of if it'll happen, but when it will happen. So we are readily preparing for the inevitability of the potential for a measles case in Kansas. So one of the biggest things to point out is that roughly 80% of these cases are in ages 19 or younger. And this is a preventable disease by vaccination. So the CDC recommends that individuals get 2 doses of the MMR vaccine, and that is proven to be 97% effective against the measles vaccine. We offer that vaccine at the Shawnee County Health Department. Anybody can call the department at 251-5700 or stop by our immunization clinic at 2115 Southwest 10th Avenue during normal business hours to receive that vaccine. One of the other things that I did want to point out as well is that the reason we're seeing an increase in measles, and one of the biggest things that can contribute to this higher number is travel. And so that's why we encourage any individuals who are traveling abroad, and specifically with measles, if they're traveling to Israel, Ukraine, or the Philippines, which have large measles outbreaks right now, that they do contact the health department to see if they are up to date with their travel vaccinations. There is a list that's available on our website that does list out what kind of vaccinations are applicable for you if you are traveling abroad. With that, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions from the commission related to this.
No, Thanks for the
Perfect.
update.
Yes,
And the
definitely.
press release is coming out
And the press
today.
release will go out right after this meeting. I want to make sure that you all were aware of it before we sent it out. The second item today, and Commissioner Cook alluded to this already, but we did have our annual community conversation on the county health rankings on Monday. I want to announce that it was a great, resounding success. We had great media coverage from our 3 major outlets here. It was standing room only. We had 126 people signed in, which was great. That is over 50 more people that were in attendance from last year. I think that one of the biggest takeaways from this, we've been able to look at the evaluations already. One of the major comments and feedback that we're getting is this event gets better every year. And I think as the chair for Heartland Health and Neighborhoods, I'm just kind of lucky to have been at this for this year, to be able to MC the event. But the presenters were great. It was great topics. It was a great insight into health, and I think the attendance just showed that health is becoming a priority here in Topeka and Shawnee County. And if we want to do what we know we can do to improve the quality of life, the quality of place here in our community, we have to look at health as one of those indicators to improve economic development, as well as, like I mentioned, the quality of life and quality of place. So overall, it was a great, and I did want to also give a shout out to our 2 inaugural award winners. So we did, for the first time this year, had the Shawnee County Public Health Champion Awards that we presented. One to an individual, that was Lisa Martin. She's a registered dietitian with the Kansas State Research and Extension Office. And then one to an organization, which was the Topeka Housing Authority, for their outstanding achievements in improving health outcomes here in Shawnee County. So I'd be more than happy to answer any additional questions that you might have.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Kelly Durkin. I'm the Executive Director of Lifehouse Child Advocacy Center. We're located just down the street at 3rd and Kansas. We, nobody's ever heard of us. We've been 20 years this year, but we work with the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office, the Topeka Police Department, and DCF, and we do the joint interviewing, investigation, and prosecution of child sexual abuse cases here in Shawnee County. This is Child Abuse Prevention Month. We served 312 kids last year, and we just had a donor who bought us 312 pinwheels. This is the national symbol for us. And there are about 900 child advocacy centers in the United States, so this is how we do it. We have 17 in Kansas. We would like to plant 312 pinwheels at the courthouse. A lot of counties do that. We've never done it. And I just wanted to know if I would have your permission for my staff and I to do that through the rest of April.
How about the Capitol building grounds?
That is another thought.
Wouldn't it, I think that would get more exposure than.
Absolutely.
Because we just don't have that much traffic coming through.
That is correct.
People are going by the Capitol all the time.
I agree. I agree. We just, because we work with the county and we prosecute here,
Right.
this was our
I
first
understand.
shot.
I'm just talking about exposure for what you're trying to, the message you're trying to get across.
Yeah, I agree.
Commissioner, I know that in the past, the Capitol has sponsored the pinwheels. They've been a very visual representation of preventing child abuse in Kansas and in Shawnee County. Lifehouse, Chris, you started by saying that you, not well known, but actually Lifehouse is well known, provides a safe place for children to come and be able to talk about things that have happened in a safe environment rather than being re-interviewed by multiple independent agencies or individuals so that they have to just do it one time. And so it is a valuable service in Shawnee County. If the Capitol does not work out, I think that the Shawnee County Courthouse would be an appropriate place given the amount of individuals that do come in and out of the courthouse, or likewise, maybe one of our parks, or picking a park that has a well-traveled and a lot of exposure. I think that there's raising the awareness of what it is and the work that's being done. Again, it is work that's being done in Shawnee County with cooperation from the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney, in Lifehouse. So, again, if the capital doesn't work out, I think the reapproaching and finding a spot and working with our facility manager or Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, if,
Okay.
all right, if that's okay.
That
Yeah,
sounds
if that
great.
doesn't work out.
Okay.
Likewise, the
you.
health
Figure
agency
something
on
out.
McVicker, there's a lot of people that travel right up and down McVicker or on 10th Street.
That is true, too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Linda Oaks from the Health Department. We actually do have pinwheels planted at the Health Department on McVicker and the 10th Street Clinic. So we do have our pinwheels already out.
Oh, okay. All right, anyone else for communications this morning? Final offer. Commissioner Cook.
You know, I think that oftentimes we will take an opportunity to applaud the things that we do right. Public Works often comes to mind, coming in under budget, on time. Parks and Recreation being recognized as a tourist attraction and all the work that they do in the community. Accreditation with Parks and Recreation, accreditation, Department of Corrections. But sometimes we have to recognize the things that don't work right. This last week, the Shawnee County Courthouse has hosted a number of jury trials. We've had a lot of people that have been very uncomfortable in the courthouse as the temperatures outside rose through the 70s and the 80s, topping out. The courtrooms were very hot, very warm, but part of the problem is we have a building that was built 1965, expanded in 1987. Our heating and cooling system does not allow us to flip from heat to cool. It's something that we in the courthouse are familiar with, but our guests, the jurors, may not have. So it has been a very uncomfortable week. I know that Bill Kroll has been working very diligently to address the heating and cooling issues. Hopefully with the cool weather coming in, we can go back to being uncomfortably cold as opposed to uncomfortably hot. But again, I know that Bill's department has been working on it, and just to reach out to the public, we are very sorry that you've had to endure not only just being a juror, but also being a juror in 100 or 90-plus degree courtrooms. And we hope that we can get this addressed very timely.
Very good. What's up, Commissioner Rippon?
Well, as Commissioner Cook mentioned earlier, we attended the health rankings at the Topeka Library, and it was well attended. They may have to find a different venue even next year. It's they were busting at the seams. Spent the last 2 days helping set up lights for Tulip at Twilight, and we did a light check last night. For the most part, it looked pretty good. We had a few little glitches, but they'll have them worked out by the end of the day. But ready for this weekend for the grand opening. That's it.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything to add, so what's the next item then?
Item 6, executive session.
There's not a need for an executive session today, so we're officially adjourned. Thanks for showing up.
I'm sorry, Jane. Yeah, I felt so confident they'd be on there. I didn't see a problem, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you out. I was just curious, maybe I wasn't looking in the right spot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
25th, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,